Most people think soil sleeps in winter. Ancient farmers knew better. To them, winter was not a pause in agriculture, but the moment when soil was rebuilt, protected, and quietly improved for the year ahead. While modern gardening often leaves beds bare and exposed until spring, historical evidence from Roman estates, medieval European farms, and early Asian agriculture shows a shared winter soil practice that modern growers abandoned with the rise of synthetic inputs. That practice was deliberate winter soil covering and slow decomposition, a method that transformed cold months into the engine of fertility. This forgotten approach is now resurfacing because it solves problems modern fertilizer never will. How ancient growers used winter to feed soil instead of crops. Across temperate climates, farmers recognized that soil biology does not stop in winter. Microbes slow down, but they do not disappear. By covering soil with organic material before the first hard frost, they insulated microbial life and allowed decomposition to continue gradually beneath the surface. The Romans, would spread straw manure, leaf litter, and crop residues thickly over their fields after harvest. Medieval farmers, on the other hand, layered animal bedding and plant waste onto plots that would remain untouched until spring. And in East Asia, winter mulching with rice straw was considered absolutely essential, never just optional. This, quite simply, was not waste disposal. It was, in fact, timed biological engineering. So, why did bare winter soil become such a modern mistake? Well, when industrial agriculture arrived, winter soil cover was suddenly seen as untidy and inefficient. Fields were ploughed clean and left exposed, partly to control pests and, partly to speed up spring planting. But the hidden cost, really, was massive nutrient loss. Bare soil bleeds fertility through erosion, freeze-thaw damage, and, microbial die-off. Nitrogen volatilizes, carbon oxidizes, structure collapses. Ancient farmers avoided all of this without chemicals. They understood that soil left uncovered in winter forgets how to grow. So, how does winter covering turn cold into a soil-building force? The key mechanism, really, is insulation. Organic layers trap heat and stabilize temperature swings. This protects fungal networks and bacteria that convert organic matter into plant-available nutrients. Freeze-thaw cycles still occur, but they happen gently, improving soil structure instead of destroying it. As materials break down slowly, nutrients are locked into the soil profile rather than washing away. By spring, the ground is darker, looser, and biologically primed. Winter becomes preparation rather than damage control. Now, you might be wondering why this ancient method actually outperforms spring fertilization. Well, spring fertilizer tends to feed plants directly, quite often before their roots are really ready for it. In contrast, winter soil preparation focuses on feeding the soil itself, ensuring that plants never experience nutrient shock or scarcity as they start to grow. So, when roots encounter preconditioned soil in the spring, nutrient exchange can begin right away. Water infiltration improves, which is just wonderful, and compaction decreases. Plants establish themselves faster and, honestly, they resist stress much better throughout the entire growing season. Ancient farmers, you see, front-loaded fertility into the calendar, not onto the product shelf. Now, let's talk about how gardeners can actually apply this winter soil hack today. The method is really quite simple, but it does require a bit of commitment to timing. After harvest, the soil is left unturned, and then a thick layer of organic material is applied directly to the surface. This can include chopped leaves, straw, compost, aged manure, or even garden residues. The layer must be thick enough to block light and insulate soil, typically several inches deep. In colder climates, adding a second layer after the first frost, well, it increases protection. No digging is required at all. Earthworms and microbes do the work for you. By spring, most of the material has partially decomposed, and you know what remains can be gently pulled aside for planting. Why did ancient farmers avoid winter tillage? Well, tilling in winter exposes soil structure to frost damage and oxygen shock. Ancient systems minimized disturbance, you see. Soil organisms were allowed to work uninterrupted, preserving pore spaces and those essential fungal highways. Modern no-dig and regenerative practices mirror this approach because, frankly, the results are undeniable. Less erosion, better moisture retention, stronger plant growth. The past solved a problem the present is still well arguing about. So, let's talk about how this practice really, improves drought resistance and heat tolerance. Winter-prepared soil, well, it holds water much more effectively because organic matter increases its sponge-like capacity. When the summer heat finally arrives, plants are able to access those deeper reserves without undue stress. Ancient farmers, they didn't actually separate winter care from summer survival. They understood almost instinctively that soil memory carries forward. What you do in January, well, that determines what survives in July. Now, why did this knowledge disappear? And honestly, why does it matter now? Cheap fertilizer and mechanization made winter soil care seem unnecessary for a while. Inputs, in a sense, replaced observation. But with rising costs, soil exhaustion and climate instability, we're being forced to return to that older, perhaps wiser logic. Now, this winter soil hack does not rely on products. It actually relies on cycles, and well, that makes it resilient. Ancient farmers built systems that assumed uncertainty, Modern growers are rediscovering why. So, what this really reveals about real soil stewardship is quite profound. Healthy soil is not seasonal. It's continuous. Ignoring winter is not neutral. In fact, it is destructive. Covering soil is, honestly, an act of respect for the living systems beneath your feet. The ancients did not ask what soil could produce next. They asked how it could survive forever. That mindset, truly, is the real hack. If you value deep-rooted plant wisdom grounded in history and practical results, do consider subscribing to Botanical Bliss. Share this guide with growers who want stronger soil without shortcuts, and help bring back methods that treated winter as the beginning, not the end, of the growing year.